Tom, you're bullish on crypto. You're bullish on the overall markets. What would change your mind? Would it be a big rally and a shift in sentiment so that more people got as positive as you are?
That's right, John. If short interest were to collapse and people were bullish, then we know that a lot of the firepower is used up on markets. But I would guess that we'd be at much higher levels if that was the case. And I think if COVID and sort of our comfort level on that deteriorates so that the economy faces downside risk, I think that's a headwind. But so far, it really looks like the soft surveys, like the sentiment, have dropped a lot more than the actual data, which means people have overreacted in the market side to COVID.
Thomas, Deirdre, I always have to ask you about Bitcoin after touching 50,000. It's below 47K this morning. What's the next catalyst for the crypto ecosystem at large?
Well, there's a lot of, foremost, I'd say Bitcoin and digital assets have really performed admirably in the face of what looked like a pretty big crackdown from China and from US. So I think there's true underlying resilience. And then, of course, Bitcoin now, I think, is technically recovered to some key levels. I think that there's quite a lot of catalysts into year-end because, number one, it looks like products like NFTs, which really do improve the usefulness of crypto, have grown in adoption. I mean, some of the numbers are really impressive, and you're starting to see some crossover investing. And then, more importantly, I think that, when you look at outside the U.S., crypto is your risk-on asset. So I think that the fact that both China equities and crypto are rallying shows you that outside the U.S., there's actually a risk-on appetite as well.
Two more questions from me, Tom. I think one of your best calls of the year was really nailing that bottom on the 10-year yield around 120. We did have a few different desks this year now bring in their year-end forecast. B of A today goes from 190 to 155. I wonder where you are on the 10-year, if you think that chart's going to continue to go up to the upside. And then also on CHOP, in August, you said seasonality made it difficult to be a hero. And I wonder if that narrative changes as we work our way into the fall.
Yeah, both good questions. And on the yield, we've been watching it closely. It does seem to me that economic outlook is actually more resilient than consensus. I think people overreacted to the consumer sentiment surveys. And so we think there is upside to the yield. And I think the 1.5 might even be low. And then with regard to CHOP, I think that the move in the 10-year, along with the drop in the VIX, and then now with oil recovering pretty steadily, and now we're getting into September, which historically is actually a great month for equities when you have a strong first half. I think that the sort of CHOP is ending. I think September should be a really strong period for markets. So, I'd expect a rally, at least for the next 6 weeks, and a pretty strong rally.